Welcome back to my garden. Today I want to share my new trellises that I've got to double the amount of food I can grow in the same garden bed. They're super quick and easy to do, installed within minutes. And they not only look really nice, but they're also super functional and nice and sturdy. So I'm wanting to add more and more vertical growing space to my gardens to not only grow more food, be able to test out more varieties, but also provide shade for other parts of the garden, as well as encouraging lots more wildlife to the garden. The little birds have been loving my garden, darting in and out for the little bugs and for some of the nectar from my flowers. And they like to sit up and dive in, so having more structures and taller things in my garden is going to be a great addition. So these garden beds are 2 metre by 1 metre, and I have 4 of them, which has provided me with plenty of growing space to grow my annual veggies. I've been harvesting so many lettuces, cabbage, broccolis, kale. All of the winter veggies have been cranking in these 4 beds, way more than I've been able to eat. And now we're going to start transitioning into summer crops. So not only am I going to be able to use up all this space to grow things like zucchinis, tomatoes, herbs, greens, edible flowers, but I'm also going to be growing cucumbers on this one, and I think melons on the one over here. If you're new here, I've been transforming this front yard from a bare grassy patch into a edible garden food forest here in the suburbs, and I've been tackling it one project at a time, not to get overwhelmed, and to create long-term sustainable gardens that grow more and more food each year without having to input lots more effort. And today I'm going to be sharing another project. We've got new trellises going up on 2 of my raised garden beds, as well as in another garden bed. So these panels are just purchased from Bunnings, and they're about $35 each. And then the star pickets, I already had a whole bunch of those just hoarded in my garden shed. So this setup cost me $35, and you could probably find those panels cheaper somewhere else, secondhand, but it was just a really quick and easy way to get it set up. And the fact that they were the perfect size for what I was after, I wanted something the same length of my garden beds and only 1 metre high, and so that worked out perfect. The other trellis that I've set up in my other garden bed is just all recycled materials that I had sitting in my garden shed, but that one isn't going to be as sturdy. But I think these look really neat and tidy, which is what I wanted for this garden bed. I do like to have this one looking beautiful because it is in my front yard, it's outside my office window. I want to really enjoy it, so trying to keep it looking good but also really functional as well. So it's just 2 star pickets, 1 on each end, the panel in the middle, and then they have been secured down the little holes on the star pickets with cable ties, so it is able to be removed very easily if I do want to take it down at some point, or if I want to move it to somewhere else. So it's not a permanent structure, unlike these ones here, which are definitely not going anywhere. And the grapes to grow up this big arbor are looking really good. Look at all this new growth. We also get a lot of wind here, so I didn't want to go too high and have a trellis that was getting beaten by the winds. The veggies would be shredded. So keeping it nice and low to let the light in and also stop it from getting absolutely hammered by the wind. So this one I'm going to grow melons on. I'm going to grow rock melons and maybe some watermelons as well, and see how they go. Alright, so let's plant some seeds. I've already planted some of these cucumbers into seed trays, but I'm going to stick them straight in the garden as well. And we're going to put some rock melons in here on my melon trellis. I do prefer to direct sow into the garden beds. I just find it easier. I don't have to worry about looking after the seed trays and watering them and then transplanting them. And then by growing them directly in the ground, the roots can go straight in and they don't get disturbed as I'm transplanting. The downside of that is that you have less control over the temperatures and the moisture, and there's more pests about. But I'm just going to plant extra, and I'll have my backup ones in seed trays if all else fails. So let's chuck some of these rock melon. Hale's Best is the variety, and I'm going to put in 5 seeds. Put one in here. here. And I'm going to have to make some room here because there is no light with all this lettuce. The ones in here that are more likely to get eaten by bugs. Alright, now we've got the cucumbers. They actually look really similar. So it's got pretty good access here with these big squares at the back that I can come in and plant, which makes it easy. I'm going to plant it a couple in here. Just a little bit of soil on top, not very much. And I'll have to give these a good water. There we go. Deciding on where to put your vertical gardens in your trellis can make a real big difference on what you can grow and how much space you're actually saving. So I've put mine on the back side of my garden beds, which is the south side. That means that the sun is coming in from this way, and that's not going to be blocking anything except shading a little bit of the fruit trees behind, but they're going to get a lot of the overhead sun anyway, and so that's not going to be such an issue. If I were to put it in the middle of the garden bed, then obviously it's going to give some shade to whatever was at the back, and then also really limit the amount of space I have in this garden. Having it on the back there really does allow me to use this whole space for gardening, but also grow up. It's definitely spring in my gardens here. There is so many beautiful flowers everywhere. About a month ago, I managed to get my hands on these, and it's something that I've been looking for a while, and it's something that I've grown before but also killed. So I wanted to give it another shot, and that is Kiwiberries. And I also want to say thank you to one of you for reaching out to me about these, because I did see your message, but then I completely lost it and I couldn't figure out where it was to reply. So I did just want to say thank you, and I have found them. Now, I would highly recommend doing trellises before you plant the plants, but I hadn't figured out what my trellis was going to be, and I just wanted to get them in the ground, because sometimes just doing the action ends up in results, and I really wanted to get them out of those pots and in the ground growing so they had the best chance of survival. I was tossing up whether to put a trellis onto the fence like I have with my passion fruit, but because these are a little bit more heat sensitive, I didn't want them to overheat by being on the fence. So we've gone about it a little bit of a backwards way, but we'll get there in the end. And you can see my papaya in the middle of this garden bed, and that's going to act as an umbrella to try and keep more of this garden bed cool over the summer months. And then eventually one day that will be removed, and I will have everything else pretty well established to try and keep these kiwi berries cool. The New Zealand spinach ground cover is doing a great job at keeping moisture in, but it will probably die off over summer, and I'm going to add extra mulch on top of that. And now back here in my driveway patch, we have another trellis that this one is using the recycled wire that I had, and it's definitely not as strong. And now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have got more of the other stronger wire for this one, because this is my Kiwiberry, and they are a really vigorous growing vine, so they are going to want a trellis, but also probably want something quite sturdy. It has absolutely taken off since I planted it. When I planted it, it was pretty much dormant. It had a few little shoots on it, and all of this is new growth. So we're going to have kiwi berries climbing along here. I've also got another one planted further down, and I'm undecided whether I will put more trellis along that side for it or if I will move it to this side. But now I'm thinking I might get another panel for that one over there, so that it's nice and sturdy. These are self-pollinating, but I haven't had much luck with keeping them alive, especially through the hot summer months. So previously I grew them in a pot, and so this time I'm going to have them in the ground, and this spot here does get protected from the afternoon sun. And the more plants that I can get established, like I've got apricot here now, that's going to help cool it down here. And hopefully we can be harvesting delicious kiwi berries, which are like grape-sized kiwi fruit, but they have a smooth skin and you can eat the whole thing. Obviously like a kiwi berry, so something that I really want to grow. Hopefully it likes its new home. So far, it's looking very happy. And I don't know if those may be flowers. That would be incredible. I just can't believe how fast it's taken off. Avocados are starting to flower. Look at them go. And if you haven't grown sweet peas before, then I would definitely recommend, look at them. They're such a star in the garden right now, and they smell so good. The whole garden has like a perfume. Let me know in the comments what you're growing vertically. I'd love to know. It's such a great way to maximize the amount of space you can grow.